10 signs he's cheating on you and trying to hide it. Number 1. His ego suddenly explodes. This is the sign most people ignore. He seems more confident than usual, more self-assured, maybe even slightly arrogant. There's a new energy about him, something sharper, something that wasn't there before. He dresses better, he takes more selfies, he becomes hyper-aware of how he looks, not just when going out, but even when he's just stepping out for a bit. His hair gets styled differently, his clothes are cleaner, sharper, and more deliberate. Even the way he walks carries a subtle change, a kind of purpose that wasn't there before. At first, you might think, wow, he's just feeling good about himself. And maybe that's what you want to believe. Maybe you want to chalk it up to self-improvement. Maybe you think he's just growing, feeling confident, taking care of himself. But here's the psychology behind it. When someone new desires him, it triggers a powerful ego boost. It's not just feeling good, it's chemical. Dopamine spikes. Attention lights up reward centers in the brain. Validation feels intoxicating. It's addictive. It energizes him in a way nothing else does. And suddenly, he carries himself differently. He may stand taller, speak louder, move more deliberately. Even his tone can change, slightly sharper, slightly more assured. Subtle behaviors emerge, a glance at his reflection, a careful check of his hair, a small smile to himself. But here's the twist. Alongside that confidence, you may notice flashes of guilt, irritation, defensiveness. Maybe he snaps at you for asking a simple question. Maybe he seems restless when you try to connect. Maybe there's a tension, barely visible, in his posture or voice. That emotional contradiction, it's not random, it's conflict. Because the brain isn't only craving attention, it's balancing it with conscience. Part of him is exhilarated by being desired. Part of him knows he's risking something he values. And those two forces, desire and guilt, collide. It leaks into his behavior. Sometimes he overcompensates with kindness. Other times he withdraws abruptly. Sometimes he seems thrilled and alive. Other times, tense and defensive. This is why this sign is so subtle. It can almost feel like personal growth. And that makes it easy to ignore. But the truth is, confidence that appears suddenly, especially when accompanied by small flashes of unease, can signal something deeper. It may not just be self-improvement. It may be a reflection of validation borrowed from someone else. And when that ego boost comes from another person, it comes with conflict. And the evidence often shows itself in small, telltale ways. The key is to watch the combination. Confidence that feels amplified, paired with tension, defensiveness, or irritation. That is the pattern that most people miss. It is subtle, it is easy to dismiss, but it is real, and it often marks the beginning of a deeper betrayal. Number 2. His phone becomes a fortress. It's always face down, always on silent, always within reach. But it's no longer casual. The phone doesn't sit loosely on the table anymore. It's placed deliberately, strategically, like it's guarding something. Every vibration, every notification is carefully controlled. You don't hear it buzz, you don't see the previews, you just notice the silence. He takes calls in another room, steps outside for better signal, even lowers his voice when answering. If you happen to walk in unexpectedly, the conversation ends quickly. Almost too quickly. The casual ease you once had is gone. He angles the screen away from you, tilts it just enough so you can't see, closes apps the moment you come near, deletes notifications without explanation. And when you ask about it, it's just privacy. Don't worry about it. You're overthinking. He even changes passwords for security reasons, adds Face ID, disables message previews, and logs out of shared accounts. Technology makes cheating easier, and he knows it. Hidden apps, disappearing messages, alternate accounts, private folders, all tools to conceal behavior. But the truth is, behavior always exposes secrets. Human instincts don't lie. When someone is hiding something, Their relationship with their device changes first. Phones become more than just phones. They become vaults, gateways, and bridges to another life. If his device feels more protected than your relationship, pay attention. That's not insecurity. That's concealment. Privacy is normal. Everyone deserves personal space. Everyone should have moments and boundaries in a relationship. But secrecy feels different. Privacy says, I need space. Secrecy says, I have something to hide. And your body knows the difference. You notice how tense he becomes when you pick up his phone, how quickly he reaches for it, how his eyes follow your movements. You notice how the phone is never left alone, always tucked into his pocket, carried everywhere, even on trips to the kitchen or the bathroom. It's not the phone itself, it's the shift, the sudden guarding of something that never needed guarding before. When trust is intact, phones are neutral objects. When trust is broken, they become fortresses. And if he behaves like the phone is more important than your connection, that's not just a habit, that's a signal, a silent, telling signal.
Number 3, there's that one person. There's a name that keeps coming up. At first, it seems small, innocuous, harmless. A coworker, a friend, someone he casually mentions, a little too often. He talks about their day, the little things that happen to them, their struggles, frustrations, and worries, the jokes they shared, the moments that made them laugh. And somehow it's always framed as innocent. She's just a friend. You're overthinking. We just work together. Maybe that's true. Maybe it really is just casual conversation. But emotional attachment rarely starts with passion. It starts with familiarity. It starts with repeated attention, with small moments shared over and over again, with empathy for the other person's life, with knowing the tiny details that only someone emotionally present would notice. The more he talks about her, the more your subconscious notices. She's occupying mental space. She's appearing in his thoughts. She's becoming familiar to him in a way that perhaps you haven't been noticed for months. Even if he doesn't consciously feel it, emotional attachment has already begun. The repeated attention builds connection. The repeated empathy creates a quiet bond. The repeated conversations bring someone closer, without the labels, without the confessions, without the acknowledgement. If someone occupies his conversations frequently, they may already occupy his thoughts. And that's where emotional cheating quietly begins, long before words are exchanged or actions become physical. Number 4, he's easily startled or defensive. You pick up his phone and suddenly he stiffens. Not dramatically, not loudly, but you see it. The micro-freeze in his posture, the way his eyes snap to yours, the small shift in his breathing. You ask a simple question, who was that or where were you, and he overreacts. His tone sharpens, his patience disappears. He answers defensively instead of calmly. You weren't accusing, you weren't attacking, yet he responds as if you are. You wake him up, maybe accidentally, maybe just naturally, and he looks disoriented, almost scared. There's a brief moment of confusion, not the normal grogginess of waking, something else, panic, guilt, the realization that he may have been caught even though he hasn't. Cheating creates paranoia, because when someone is living two realities, the one with you and the one they are hiding, their nervous system is never fully at ease. Every interaction feels loaded. Every question feels like a test. Every glance feels like scrutiny. If he reacts like he's been caught, even when you're calm, loving, or neutral, that's telling. A person with nothing to hide doesn't panic over neutral actions. They don't stiffen at casual touches. They don't over-explain or defensively redirect. They don't flinch when a phone buzzes or a question is asked. When you notice tension leaking through body language, micro-expressions, or sudden defensiveness, pay attention. The shift may be subtle, but it's real, and often your intuition senses it before your mind can fully articulate it.
Number 5, his personality slowly shifts. Sometimes cheating doesn't come with shouting matches or obvious anger. Sometimes it comes in small, almost imperceptible shifts. New slang, new humor, new interests. He starts liking music he once dismissed. Shows he never cared about suddenly capture his attention. Hobbies he ignored now seem exciting. At first, it seems innocent. You might even think, oh, he's just exploring new things. But here's the catch. When someone enters a new romantic dynamic, even unconsciously, their behavior begins to mirror that person. Attraction rewires patterns. Voice inflections subtly change. Postures shift. Mannerisms evolve. Suddenly, the person you've known for years feels slightly unfamiliar. The jokes, the preferences, the little habits, they don't quite match the man you've grown used to. If he feels different, looks different, laughs differently, or seems drawn to things he never cared about before, pay attention. It isn't paranoia, it's observation. Number 6, he mixes up stories. Managing two realities is exhausting. He talks about a movie you both watched, but you didn't watch it. He mentions a restaurant you two went to, but you weren't there. Details blur, memories overlap. He may start telling you stories that aren't accurate, mixing up dates, people, or events. It's not intentional deceit in the casual sense. It's the cognitive strain of maintaining dual lives. Every lie, every hidden meeting, every secret message adds another layer. Eventually, he forgets which life he's referencing. This is when the truth leaks out, often in the smallest ways. A misplaced comment, an incorrect memory, a story that doesn't align with your experience. The inconsistencies aren't always obvious at first, but over time they form a pattern, a trail that reveals more than he intends. Number 7, he seems uncomfortable when you're loving. You try harder, you plan thoughtful dates, you show more affection, you become more patient, and yet, instead of leaning in, he seems uneasy. That discomfort is guilt surfacing. Your kindness, your attention, your love, it reminds him of what he's risking. Instead of feeling appreciated, he feels exposed. Sometimes, instead of acknowledging the problem, he deflects. He criticizes small things about you, finds faults where none exist, or distances himself emotionally. Your care becomes a mirror reflecting what he's hiding from himself. And rather than confronting his choices, he shifts the focus, quietly, subtly, onto you. The pattern is clear when you notice multiple behaviors stacking, unfamiliar interests, story inconsistencies, and unease during affection. It doesn't always scream betrayal in bold letters, but it whispers it in every gesture, every glance, every subtle withdrawal. Pay attention to these signs, because they reveal more than words ever could. Number 8, he creates reasons to leave. Suddenly, being home doesn't feel comfortable for him anymore. He picks fights over small things, turns tiny disagreements into major arguments, finds excuses to step outside, to go to the store, to meet a friend, anything to get away. Some cheaters do this deliberately because conflict gives them an exit, and exits give them freedom. Freedom to see someone else, freedom to hide their actions, freedom to live in two separate worlds. It's subtle at first, a sigh here, a shrug there, but over time it becomes a pattern. The restless energy, the sudden irritability, the constant need for space, it's all a sign that he's creating distance for a reason. If it feels like he's never fully present or always searching for a way out, pay attention. Sometimes it's not about anger at you, it's about avoiding the consequences of his choices elsewhere. Number 9, he becomes overly attentive out of nowhere. Ironically, sometimes cheating looks like love. He suddenly becomes extra sweet, extra helpful, over-apologetic. He showers you with attention, gifts, and affection. This is the guilt phase. He's trying to balance the scale internally, to ease the tension in his own mind. But notice the pattern. If this sudden, perfect partner behavior feels forced, if it appears out of nowhere and disappears just as quickly, it isn't devotion, it's compensation. The love you see isn't necessarily genuine. It's a way to soothe guilt, to cover anxiety, and to convince himself that he's still a good person, despite his secret. Number 10, your intuition won't let it go. This one isn't scientific, it's emotional. You feel it,
a shift in the energy. The connection feels thinner. Conversations feel off, even when he smiles, laughs, or talks like everything is fine. You can't prove it. You can't put your finger on it, but something doesn't feel right. That gut feeling, your intuition, notices the subtle patterns before your logic does. It's a quiet alarm ringing in your mind, telling you, pay attention, something is off. Intuition is often the first sign that the balance is shifted, that trust has been breached, and that someone you love may be dividing their attention, emotionally, mentally, or physically. Don't ignore it.